Sup, YouTube? This is Big D from TacoYaki Anime,
And shit.
and we are back for our monthly catch-up for May of 2015.
Yay!
Yep, the spring season just started, and we've done our...
Such mixed feelings about it. Really, such mixed feelings.
Yeah, there's tons of shows added to my queue, and talk about the best ones that have I've actually caught up on.
The amazing thing that actually caught up on. That's the key word right there.
Yes. yes. So
Go ahead.
So first show I'm talking about is Seraph of the End, or Owari no Seraph.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the vampire anime of this season. It basically is, there's a virus that kills off all the humans above 14, I think, 14 years of age, and vampires come in and basically enslave the rest of
Now, you see, and what you just said was pretty much the first episode. It really was.
Yeah.
But it's like, as things have been progressing, I don't think all of that is actually factually, like, true. Because there seems to be people later on that are above that age. So I think it's like they didn't actually kill everyone, just most.
Yeah.
A good portion of them, or something like that. So
Yeah.
honestly hard to say.
So I'm really liking... Huh?
Well, yeah, I'm about to say, I want to hear your impressions first of this, because I have some faults on this, but I want to hear what you say.
Yeah. So I am really liking this show. It is made by Studio Wit, which is the show that did Attack on Titan. So animation quality is up there, and I like it because it reminds me of Studio Bones shows. It's animation smooth, action's good. The character design is reminds me of Studio Bones shows. So visually, it just caught my attention. Story wise, I've seen stuff similar, but it was good enough to keep my attention. At the end of the first episode, I already knew what was going to happen because it was set up too easy for things to go that way.
See, I'm trying so hard to wait until you finish, because I really want to hear what you have to say, but I have so many things to say about that. But go ahead, keep going.
And then going into the second episode, I watched the trailer, and it kind of ruined the story up until episode 3 because it spoiled some things. So I'm starting to get a little wary about watching trailers like Shade over here. So
Again, never watch those things. Never.
So,
Never watch trailers and never watch openings, because they spoil the hell out of things.
Yeah. So because of what you see in the trailer, I already knew what was happening up until episode 3, and then from then on, I still have a few suspicions about certain characters, but I'm ready. I don't know. I'm ready for the rest of it.
Okay, so for me, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, at least on this point here, God damn was the pacing on that, at least the first episode, so damn fast.
Yeah.
They just flew through that. I'm like, really? We go from outbreak occurs to these kids are living with vampires to he all of a sudden breaks out. And I'm like, wow, that was one episode?
Yeah.
Holy crap. Did I just watch the whole anime in one go? Did I miss something? I would say, so for me, that first episode, I kind of feel like it shouldn't have happened, or at least it shouldn't have happened in the way that they did it.
Like it might have been a flashback. It seemed like a drawn out flashback.
Yeah, it seems like it would have been a better, they could have done better with it by actually having him like have the second episode be the first episode and have bits of the first episode kind of be in his memory or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe some things trigger it. Maybe he has a dream about parts of it. But like, maybe let his past be something that you slowly start to unravel and you see the reason why he hates vampires as much as he does.
Mm.
But don't just push it out in our faces and expect for us to care.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, all this happened. Oh, boo. I'm like, really? Come on, man. I didn't even get emotionally attached to anybody, and all of this stuff starts happening. You know, I'm like, really? Why? I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm starting to get... So, didn't Attack on Titan do the same thing?
Honestly, and I'm sure I'll get tons of people commenting about this, but I have not finished all of that, and it's been such a long time, I can't tell you exactly how that remember how that worked, but...
Is that the beginning? Yeah. Like
it
life,
might have been that, but I can't say for sure.
So, like, life was normal, and then you start, like, exposition of characters and stuff like that. Then all of a sudden you go outside, and there's, like, that big hand over the thing, and everybody's all freaking out. And all of a sudden, people bust in. And...
I'm recalling that. But I think, in that sense, they did it better.
Mm.
Only because you knew right from the get-go things were messed up. Because, I mean, they had the very first opening scene be a battle sequence that was outside of their fortress wall, whatever.
Okay, yeah.
So that occurred, and then, you know, you see the aftermath because they had the people coming in from the outside, and you saw that a whole bunch of people died. They were really solemn about it. And, you know, you knew things were wrong. You knew things were kind of out of place. So, to me, leading up to all of a sudden things going really wrong, that made sense.
Okay.
Now, the pacing after that, where all of a sudden they went into training, or they were kids, and then all of a sudden they were thrown into training because now they were, like, older or something like that.
3 years time skip.
That's a little bit, yeah, okay. But I get that because there wasn't much going on. But, like, and Seraph, they set up this world where it's like everything's gone to hell, and vampires are all of a sudden there, and you're like, how did this happen? What is going on? Where is this going? You know, you have all these questions, but they're like, no, we're going to skip all that. We're going to go right over to here, and we're going to do this now. Screw all the rest of that stuff. You know, it's like technical difficulties. Screw all the rest of that stuff because, you know, we're just going to get to this part because we don't even care about any of that. And I'm like,
yeah,
really? Can we not go back to some of that and expand on it just a little bit, you know?
Okay, that makes sense.
So, I mean, yeah, to me, it's like the pacing was way too quick. You needed to, like, slow that down just a bit. Not a lot, because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoy a quick pacing, but, like, that's, like, Roadrunner type pacing right there.
Yeah.
We just flew through that. And see, they wanted an emotional connection. They wanted you to feel... And I had nothing.
Okay.
I'm like, because you know the scene the scene I'm talking about, where he basically has his hatred for vampires and where it all comes from.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I saw it coming.
I saw it coming too. But at the same time, I'm like, I feel nothing for this. I should feel something for this.
Yeah.
This is about to be a really emotional scene. I feel nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like, y'all, you didn't set it up right. You didn't build it to where it should have been. And see, all that also leads to my second fault in this, and you pretty much already touched upon it, is that, God, is this really predictable. Like, everything is really predictable.
Yeah.
I mean, even to the part where I've watched it, because I've watched the latest episode, I'm like, okay, saw that coming, knew that was about to happen. Yep, here it comes. Okay. You know, it's like they're following a play-by-play formula. It's like, can we do something different, please? Throw a little bit of a curve in there, maybe, just to kind of throw things up a little.
Okay. So this show is supposed to be 12 episodes. Do you think if they had 24 episodes, it probably would have played out better?
Definitely.
Okay. Because I know I'm starting to see that with a few shows that, like, they crunch it down to 12 episodes. So,
but see, a lot of those that they crunch down to 12 episodes, they at least give you another season.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, another season. We can, do some more stuff with it or whatever. But yeah, they're going just way too quickly, and everything is so damn predictable.
Okay.
So it almost gives you that feeling of, why am I bothering? I know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
A, B, C, D. We're good. Okay, we're done. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm on the fence about it. I may continue watching it. I may not continue watching. I don't know. I'm on the fence about it.
Okay.
Unless they really change stuff up, I might drop it. I don't know.
All right. I like it because it's pretty.
I can't fault you there for that one.
Yeah. Now I'm like critically thinking about it more. A few things. Well, the predictability of the first episode, and then how they kind of hammer the emotion over and over in like the next few episodes about what happened in the first episode. I can see how I can see how, because it was rushed and then they try to like keep playing that part over and over.
Oh yeah.
How it gets annoying. But
highly.
So far it hasn't gotten to me yet. So
I mean, again, it looks really cool. It has an interesting premise. I like the whole, like, when they showed the girl's weapon, when she brought that out. Did you get to that part yet?
yeah.
I mean, I love her weapon.
Yeah.
That's an awesome freaking weapon.
I like the power that comes from it, how it looks completely different than the rest of the animation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like
Absolutely.
crayon drawing-ish. Well, not as much, but it looks like way different. So at first I'm like, something wrong? But then it kind of faded away. I'm like, okay, that looks cool.
Yeah. I mean, I love what they're doing with that. And I like the, tidbits and little pieces in the storyline and whatnot. But God dang, it's just the pacing's too damn fast, and the people are just so predictable in everything they do. I mean, like, he gets told to make a friend, and he makes it in one episode. I'm like, where was the challenge in that? He made it sound like it was going to be a huge thing, and they're like, oh, no, he's got a friend. Okay, welcome aboard. I'm like, really? We're just going to glide on by that. Just, screw it. We're good.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's one of those I'm on the fence about, so.
Okay.
Moving on, though. My next one to talk about is Kekkai Sensen. And like Big D over there was saying for the other one, I love this one. I really do. There's actually a book series that I've read in the past that actually reminds me a lot of it. And I love the series because they do some crazy and weird stuff. And this series really does some crazy and weird stuff. And I like I'm not usually one for a main character who's a little whiny and just kind of complains a lot or whatever. And not to say that he necessarily does, because I've seen ones who do way worse than he does. But he does kind of, do that, One's way worse being, like, Shinji, yeah. So there's been ones that are way worse than him, but, he does kind of do that every now and then, so. But I like he seems to be, as the episodes are progressing, even for the first couple episodes, he's already making like leaps and bounds, strides, and becoming more independent and being able to take care of himself. So I appreciate that.
Okay.
So, I mean, he has this very unique and promising ability, and even though it can potentially be something of monumental leaps and bounds for what he can do, I like the fact that he does have that weakness where he essentially is still human. He can still get hurt, can still potentially get killed. I mean, sort of things that I like. I'm like, all right, we're good. So, the only thing I can say I'm a little bit iffy on is the fact that they name their moves. I'm not quite cool with that. I'm like, really? We're gonna do that? We're gonna be like, superpower, yada yada yada. I'm like, could we have done without that? Could you have just done it and been done with it? I'd appreciate that more, but I can live with it. I can deal with it. So, but yeah, it's pretty cool. I enjoy it. I enjoy the interactions, the characters. I mean, you got one of the leader of the group who's the brains and is very stoic and responsible and such, and then you have his polar opposite, who's the rebel of the group who hates taking orders and tries to do everything he can to not do what he's supposed to do, but ends up doing something that he's supposed to do anyways. Whether because he deep down knows what he's supposed to do it, or because his leader is very coy and tricks him into doing it in the first place. So, I like those little interactions and everything. So, and again, some of it can be predictable in that sense, but I think they vary it up enough with, their abilities and the things that they do that I enjoy a lot of it. So.
Okay. Well, me on the other hand, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I really don't. But I'd say animation style, love it. It's bones. The action, love it. Character designs, a few of them remind me of another show. I can't remember. It's
Not surprised.
The dark guy with the silver hair, his eyes especially. I can't remember the name of the show, but I know that they smoke. I think it's two main guys, and they smoke. And
that tells me a lot.
Yeah, that's all I can remember from it.
I mean, the minute you said smoke, the only thing that came to mind was XXX Holic.
No.
And I'm like, that doesn't seem right.
Like, and they both have kind of long faces. I can't remember the name of the show, but and I can't think of it how to look it up. But it reminds me of that show, and I tried to watch that show so many times I couldn't get into it. But I'm not sure if that is kind of encroaching on this one, but I don't know. It's like I love the fight scenes until the end of the episode when they resolved it. And then I was kind of like, But then the character designs, loved them. They everybody's crazy looking, and everybody has their own interesting power. And I don't know what it is about the interaction. I'm not sure if it might not be my style that I like or what, but I'm struggling with it. I don't know. I'm definitely on the fence about this one. Because it's like I love certain things about it, but in other parts, I don't know if I like it yet. So I'm gonna give it a couple more episodes because I'm so torn. But
see,
and also because it's Bones, I'm like, I don't want to drop a Bones show. So yeah, I don't know. I'll give it a couple more episodes.
See, I don't know. The way that they do that sort of thing where the interactions and like the how they kind of resolve things by the end of the episode kind of reminds me almost of like Cowboy Bebop in that sense. Because it's like they have that, there's an overall goal, but they still have those little offshoots or whatever that they go and, do. So like by the end of the episode, the case will be closed, but they're still working towards another goal. So, and it kind of seems like the way it is with this one too. So,
okay. So, guess I will talk about the next one. It is Plastic Memories.
I meant to get into that one, but I have not watched it yet, so this is all you.
Yeah. I really like this show. It is about a specific agency, and I guess in this world, there are lifelike androids, and all of them have a certain lifespan.
Mm.
And this one agency, their job is to basically go to all the owners of the androids where their lifespan is about to end or expire, I guess. And they go negotiate like a smooth termination to the owning that android and kind of shut it down and everything like that. And they usually go like a couple days, maybe a week before, so you can, even though that's still kind of short notice, but give them time to like, okay, thank you, and blah blah blah. And like, they come in different ages. I haven't actually seen an older android, but I've seen like an adult android. So I've seen one that was a little kid, and there was like an older lady, and she didn't want to give it up. And
of course,
yeah, that episode was kind of cool. Then, yeah, I don't know. I like it. I like the way that in this one I love the characters, like, and I love the comedy. This one's it's done by Degakubo, so I don't know if I've seen their shows before, but I do like the animation style and character design and everything like that. So definitely keeping this one up. Definitely loving it right now. So
okay. Now, I mean, I haven't watched it, but I mean, the premise of it kind of reminded me of Chobits. Is that kind of what the feeling you're getting off of it too?
I guess so. Chobits would be like the other side. It'd be like somebody comes to take Chobits away because Chobits, like the girl from Chobits, her lifespan is about to end. So it's like you're following the people who are about to take away Chobits from the guy. Of course, he would put up a fight like some of the people do in the show.
Yeah,
and he definitely doesn't want to get rid of her. But yeah, it's like the opposite side. And
so all you're basically seeing is the side from which they're taking them away.
Yeah, and they actually work with androids too. So there is their side where I'm not sure if they're like special androids and they have a longer lifespan or what, but they mentioned that one character that their lifespan is about to end soon, and I'm pretty sure it's definitely going to be an issue later in a couple episodes. But you basically follow one of the main characters and his partner, who's an android, and them two working together with the other co-workers, and they play off of each other, which is nice. Then you follow basically the main two on their assignments to go retrieve certain androids. So do you feel like there's going to be like a potentially is there even like a main plot to it? Is there just seeing these different like androids? I think the plot is following the main two, like their relationship, like don't get
me wrong, that's it. I'm kind of seeing it in the same sense as like Death Parade, because like you had those different storylines, different, every episode was a different pair or different play on something, but there was still a main overall encompassing storyline because bartender had emotions and whatever and whatnot, and the girl had her story, and it was pretty much her following along with her. So, I mean, do you get that same feeling here that there's an overall storyline, or is it just going to be random?
I'd say because you see so much of the main android girl, the story is mostly about her and the guy that she works with.
Okay.
And like how their relationship is developing and the whole work dynamic and all that. And then they sprinkle in like little bits of story, kind of like with Death Parade, but not as in depth. It's, of course, everybody puts up, well, most people put up a fight. So you see them go and fail, then they come back. They either like kind of jump cut to them coming right back the next day. And like it'll be like 3 or 4 tries over the course of like 3 or 4 days, but they just kind of jump cut to each time when they like knock on the door, or they'll try one person and that doesn't work out, and then go to another person and they'll find out some kind of clue or something like that, to where they're like, oh, now we know how to handle this situation better. So it's usually not the same thing over. They vary it up, and it's pretty cool. I'd say out of all the other androids, you don't really get to see their personality except for the main girl. So,
Okay.
I think it's pretty good.
Interesting. Well, since you had one that I had not seen anything of, I do have one I know you have not seen anything of. And in fact, this was not one of the ones I even think we even talked about on like up and coming ones that we were interested in seeing.
Mm-hmm.
But the next one I wish to talk about is, and I may say this wrong, but Shokugeki no Soma. Now, I will preface by saying this. Again, had no intention of watching it. But I have seen so many things on so many other places talking about this anime that I had to check it out. I just had to.
So, you said the name earlier like 3 or 4 times, and I did not recognize it. So I think in Crunchyroll they call it Food Wars. So I've seen the first episode.
You have?
Yeah.
You have?
Okay. I'm dropping it.
You are?
I can't do it.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, I'll say this. It was... That first episode was bad. Don't get me wrong. It was bad. I still enjoyed it, but I can get why you would say it was bad. But it does get better after that. It's not nearly as bad. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still little bits and pieces here and there that they do along the same lines, but it's not nearly as bad, and it's actually kind of interesting. Okay. So, it's weird for me to actually say that I kind of enjoy the series and I look forward to the episodes, because to me, this almost seems along the same lines as like the sports animes like that you watch, because it's kind of a competition. Crazy things are happening. People have these mad skills and powers, and they're doing these crazy things. So, it's like those sports animes that you watch. So to me, it feels weird for me to go, I actually enjoy this. This is kind of cool.
This would be so funny. I would be so... If all of a sudden you get in a sports anime because of this one show.
I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. I'm not going to make any promises. I could be completely wrong.
So funny if that happened. Okay.
But, yes. I mean, it is very interesting. So, I mean, you watch the first episode. You know what happens, and he goes to enroll in that school, right? Did you get to that part? I forget where they ended the first episode on.
I think he gave that food to that lady.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Then the craziness happened, I know, and
yeah, and then she left, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where the first episode ended.
Okay. Well, basically it continues on after that with he ends up I guess like right at that point was graduation for middle school.
Uh-huh.
So he was graduating middle school, going to be going into high school, but his plan was, or no, scratch that. Graduating high school, and he was actually going to start working full-time at his dad's restaurant in order to learn cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Well, his dad messes that up completely by basically saying that he's going to close the restaurant for a couple of years.
Is that why he was gone?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
He hadn't left at that point, but he was pretty much getting his things in order, and then he was going to be leaving. But before he leaves, he gives his son basically a pamphlet, piece of paper, basically saying he has been accepted for trial to get into this ultra prestigious cooking school.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much where it goes from there. And like everything about it is all about cooking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously the anime Food War is going to be about cooking, but I mean, like when he goes to school, it literally is like, in order to be accepted as a transfer student in there, you have to pass a cooking test. Like his first class after that entailed cooking for a French chef, and basically he had to say, you know, what his best, you know, the chef gives him, okay, you have to cook this for me. I will taste it. If you can't, you know, if I can't agree with it, you fail the course. So it's like, okay, damn. And then like even going into his dormitory, in order to be accepted into the dormitory, he has to cook for the dorm keeper, master, whatever you want to call him. But he has to cook for her and prove that he has good cooking skills.
Wow.
Otherwise, he's not accepted, and he has to go camp outside.
Mm.
So it's like each one of these things every single time. And then, like, in the very beginning... Hold on. Okay. In the very beginning, when he gets accepted or whatever, he makes this announcement that he's going to be the number one in all of the school. But apparently there's like this top 10 master cooks that are in the school. So basically it's pretty much been made that he has to pretty much compete with these top 10 to prove that he's the best. So I'm sure that's going to happen at some point. But, I mean, it's all very just like humorous and interesting, and you know, because he's good at what he does. He's still kind of learning, but he's good at what he does because he's learned since, I think he mentioned the fact that he had like picked up a knife to start cooking at the age of like 4 or something like that. So he's been doing this and learning about these things for all of his life, pretty much. But the things that he does and the way that he goes about things is always interesting to see. And I mean, just I'm curious to see where it's going to lead to and how it's going to go. So the exploding clothes aside, I think this could be a potentially a good show. So, I mean, that's what got me curious about it in the first place. Just I saw a little trailer someone had put together of that one scene, and I'm like, okay, I have to understand what this entails, because my God, that was just such weirdness right there. It really was.
It's like...
Hold on. Do that one more time. That was too funny, what you just did. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
I've seen stuff like not this.
I've seen stuff, too.
I've seen like stuff similar to this, but not this exaggerated to where like food is so good that it makes you cry and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I've never experienced that. So I've always been curious. Like every time I see it, I'm like, I want some food that'll make me cry. And then I see this, and I'm like, This food is so good, it'll make your clothes blow off. Now I'm like, come on.
Okay,
I can't even
so
get food to make me cry.
so granted, but see, they're at least taking something you know as truthful that some people have actually had food that makes them cry.
Yeah.
And they're just taking something that's at like a level 2 and taking it to a level 10.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's at least they're getting some factual kind of things going on here. They're just making it that much more, I guess. I don't know.
So, what was it?
I hate to think what this reminded you of, but go ahead.
I would say something that's kind of close. Like,
Okay.
So, what was it? Macaroons?
Okay.
Like desserts that are shaped like burgers.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I always see those in anime. And I've always wanted to try it because I'm like, I see those all the time and everyone's like, they're so good. And I'm like, where can I even find those? So I went to this, warehouse store and I actually saw them. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And they're frozen. So I take them home, put them in the fridge, and I'm like, ooh, Ray, we're going to be able to have these things that I see. And I'm like, I go and find like an episode of a show. I'm like, see these? See? Yeah, that's what we're going to try. So open them up, take a bite. Disgusting. So I'm like, I don't understand why everybody loves these little burgers so much.
I mean, it's a lot of those times it's a regional thing. It's just the delicacy of the area, you know?
Yeah, and that's what I thought until we went on vacation a couple weeks ago, and at this dinner that we had, they had the little burgers again. So I look at them like, oh, them things. I'm like, that they're nasty. And I think somebody saw me react to them, and they're like, well, yeah, you had frozen ones. Like, these are probably, like freshly made. I'm like, oh. So I go over and grab one, and I'm, like, eating everything but that. And I'm like, okay, fine, let me try it. And I take it. I bite into it. That thing just crunch. And it's so freaking good. And I'm like, oh, now I understand. It didn't make me cry, but the difference between the frozen ones that I had to actually real made ones, I'm like, I'm getting closer to understanding the whole tearing up thing.
Well, you know, and that's just like with, I mean, freshness is always a different thing with that too. So, I mean, because I've made homemade rice balls myself, and freshly made homemade rice balls, those are delicious. Yeah. Those are just amazing. But if you try to put them in the fridge and save them for later, not as good. Mm-hmm. Not nearly as good. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure there's something you can do to it to still make it good, but like you go from being amazing to just meh.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I mean, freshness it counts for at least some parts.
Yeah.
So
I'm like, okay, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like, for that, the Food Wars seems in between battle shonen type of anime and sports, but more towards the battle shonen, and I tend not to follow those as much. So I don't know. It's not my cup of tea. I have a lot of, I think in my Crunchyroll list I added 17 of those.
Oh, good Lord.
So I'm like,
but see, you have so many in your queue, and how many of them do you actually keep up with on a regular basis?
Right now, exactly. Right now I'm keeping up with like 8.
Exactly.
But yeah. Actually, yeah. Well, I've watched more. It's just I'm actually caught up with 8 of them right now. So
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't know. This
Exactly.
this season is good. So I'm like, I think last season I was kept up with like 3 maybe. So it's like almost tripled now. So I don't know. This season is looking really promising. So
I don't know. I'm on the fence with this season. It's like part of this I'm wanting to be like, oh yeah, this is great. And the other one I'm like, eh.
mm.
But anyways, go ahead with the next one.
Okay. So the next show I have is My Love Story or Owari. Oh no, Ore Monogatari. This show is about a really big Japanese guy, and he has this shorter, good-looking, cool friend, and all the girls fall for him. And in the first episode, they noticed that they were on the train, and they noticed that this one girl's getting molested. So the big dude comes over to like, and like grabs the guy's hand. It's like, leave her alone, all that kind of stuff. And she turns around and it's like, thank you. And she's like super bubbly eye, adorable. Oh my God. And he immediately falls for her. And then she comes to him the next day to repay him for like helping her. And his friend's over there hanging out too, and his friend tries to leave, and she's like, no, don't leave. And he like misunderstands a couple of things, and he thinks that she likes him. Like the big guy thinks that she likes his friend like all the other girls. But in this case, it's actually she likes him. And for some reason, he just can't get it through his head. And it's really cool. Like it's the misunderstanding where you're like, you're on his side because you're rooting for him because he's like the underdog. And you're like, no, she really likes you. Come on. And he's trying to figure out, we're waiting for the chance to where he's like, finally believes it and like they can get into a relationship. And usually this takes the whole season for everything to finally they finally get together. But this one is different. I'm not going to say how different, but so different that I'm like, yes, I'm loving this show.
Huh.
Yes. They don't do the whole, like basically one character said, let me explain everything to you. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God.
So they actually broke the mold on that sort of thing. Wow. That never happens.
Like, say something. Tell her. Tell him. Go after them. And there's one character just like, you know what? Let me just explain the whole situation to you. And then, boom. I'm like, yes.
So where's the conflict in the story then?
Up until I don't want to ruin it. There was the conflict was you're rooting for her. You're like, no, she really likes you. She really likes you. And then he finally explains the situation. And right now everything's peachy.
So there's just no conflict, no real story progression with anything.
Like there was drama, and now the drama's gone. So now it's just comedy.
Okay.
And I don't know if something else is gonna pop up. Like
now, is that you really don't know if something else is gonna pop up, or are you just like alluding to the fact that you know something else will pop up, you just don't want to say and spoil anything?
I have no idea. Like now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, you know what? I love this show because that whole conflict that they would stretch out through the whole season is like done now. I'm like, now what are they gonna do?
I mean, that's kind of the reason they do that, because usually that's the way the story goes, and you get to the progression and it resolves at the end and everyone's happy. But like, you've already gotten to the happy moment, so it's like
everybody's happy. So I'm like,
so what's gonna happen?
Yeah. So now I'm really ready for the next episode.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If it's just going to turn into a straight comedy between them figuring out their relationship or something like that, then hey, more power to them. But you'd like to think there'd be something.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I just broke the mold. I'm like, I love it.
Huh?
Yeah. God, that's like the most adorable character I've seen in a very long time.
What? The girl, the guy, or both?
The girl.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's... God. I think I met one person in real life who was, like, really close to that, and then she, like, topped her. Like a bunch. I'm like, that's not even possible.
Wow. Well, yeah, it's anime. What do you expect? that happens. Real life kind of pales in comparison. So.
Yeah. So I'll say if anybody's interested in high school romance anime, this one is good. This one really, really good so far.
Yeah. Maybe I'll pick that one up. I don't know. I've got a lot on my plate anyways, so.
Yeah.
Well, moving on then. My next one to talk about is Gunslinger Stratos. Now, much in the same way as Seraph, I'm a little on the fence about this one.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know. It has an interesting story. It just seems like it's a little predictable, and like we've kind of seen this play out the same way before. So I'm a little curious as to what it is that they're going to do or how things are going to end, because it's like, I mean, it's sad to say that I'm kind of already ready for the ending where I'm like, can we just get to that part? I know this is gonna happen. Can we get there? So, I mean, the story is interesting. You have these characters who, this one guy who ends up for anyone out there who wants me to say names, I'm terrible with names, so don't ever expect me to say names of anybody because I forget. But you have this one guy who, it's kind of a typical high school thing. He kind of has a thing for this girl. Her brother's involved, though. He hates the guy that she kind of likes, so he always getting in the way. There's another girl that the brother that likes the brother. And the two females kind of butt heads. The two guys kind of butt heads. So there's all this kind of conflict going on here. So there's that. And then in the midst of all this, the kid, he ends up like seeing this little girl, but she kind of looks like a ghost image, kind of phantom something or other. And he ends up chasing after her. The girl he likes and likes him chases after him, and they end up falling when they get into this like factory industrial district. They end up falling, and they end up getting transported through time and space essentially. And they end up meeting alternate versions of themselves.
Okay.
Yeah. So these alternate versions, it hasn't necessarily been explained why. You can kind of, I guess, gather why, but like they're pretty much in conflict with each other. Everyone's in direct conflict. Everyone, they're trying to essentially kill each other. No real huge explanation as to why, just kind of hints and pieces and things here and there. But yeah, you basically find out that time itself seems to be unraveling and coming undone, and that's kind of what they're fighting for, to protect their time and space, I guess. So, but it's like already in the last, like, was it 4 episodes in, and already like on both sides, people have already died. So I'm like, okay. And then like, the two main guys that you see on even the front cover, like the thing for it. One's wearing white, one's wearing blue. I almost see X in this. Do you remember X? They had a movie and a series.
I don't think.
Because they had...
I know the title, but I don't think I've actually watched it.
They had, like, people with powers fighting off against each other, but they kind of had, like, polar opposites where they would, you know, evenly matched, and you had the good, the evil, but nothing was ever, like, coalesced between which one was which, really. And it pretty much, at the end of it, was a fight between the last two guys. And it kind of seems like that's going to happen here. Like, everyone else, I guess I call it right now, it seems like everyone else is just going to die. And at the end of it all, it's going to be these two guys squaring off against each other.
Okay.
To decide the overall end, I suppose.
I guess back to X for a second. I had a feeling like X was like angels and demons.
Kind of.
Okay.
Kind of. But see, they came out, like, I'm pretty sure it was a manga first, and then they came out with a movie, and then the movie kind of didn't make sense, but only because they tried to fit so much into the movie that they had to, like, really rush through things. So it really didn't make sense within itself. But then when you watch the series that came out afterwards, it made more sense because you're like, oh, that's how things connect. Now that makes a little bit more sense why we're doing this and why this happens and who these people are and whatever and whatnot. So I definitely appreciated that more. But yeah, there again, it was like pretty much the end of the world, and it was these two guys battling it out at the very end, and like everybody else dies. So I'm like, the fact that we're only 4 episodes in and already one person from each side has already died, I'm like, yeah, it kind of seems like we're pretty much going right in towards that. So who knows?
Okay.
So I'm kind of on the fence about it. I'm just like, really? Are we going to do one of these things again? Is this going to happen again? Really? So.
Okay.
Who knows?
All right. Another show that I've caught up with is Nisekoi.
Which one was that one again?
This is a show by Shaft. It is one guy, he has the locket, and the girls, all the girls have keys.
Yeah.
So, so far they haven't. They have. Yeah, they have. Okay, there we go. So far they haven't introduced any more love interests. They have introduced more characters. Not very many. I guess they just went back to what they were doing before. Like, before major events happen, it's just the whole, I don't know. It's more of the same. It's
so pretty much if you enjoyed watching the first season before, you'll enjoy watching this next season because you're just watching more of the same stuff that you were watching before.
Yeah, it's it's exactly the same. Like, I changed this about me. Oh, you didn't know this? Well, you're a jerk and blah, blah, blah. And they, like, stress that out. Then they introduce a new character, and she's like, oh, well, I'm related to this other character over here, so we're going to do our own little story thing. And then they go off and do that. And, of course, the main guy's involved with them, blah, blah, blah. Then they come back, and then it's the main two people. And then all the girls get together and they're like, hey, new event, blah, 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 blah. They're like, oh, okay. And then they go off and do that. So it's more of the same. I like the first season, so I'm liking what's happening now.
Does it feel like they're going to get to a conclusion or anything? Or is it just going to be like, we're just going to continue this?
So everybody met up. And let's see, something happened to the locket. Like, the reason why they couldn't solve the issue of who has the right key is because something happened to the locket. So they're like, oh, well, we're just going to have to stretch this out because the lock is messed up. It's at the jewelry shop to get repaired. He's like, hey. She's like, hey, I got my locket back. And then they're like, okay, let's try the keys. And he's like, well, it's not completely fixed.
Why? Why?
We can do one of two things. We can, well, I was like, yeah, the keys can't go into the locket. There's something stuck in there. So we can't do that. So we could either wait until it can be fixed, or we could smash it open and see who's in the picture. And they're like, well, we don't want to mess up the picture. So,
oh, God. Why?
So let's wait until the jeweler gets whatever he needs so he can fix it.
I hate that sort of thing. God dang it.
So I'm sitting here like this. I'm like, oh, he got the locket back. I'm like, how did it break? Okay, I guess that doesn't matter. And then the girl goes like, hey, let's try the keys now. I'm like, yeah, that would be an interesting twist. And they're like, oh, this girl is the girl who had the original key. Does that matter anymore? Because these two people are engaged because of the whole situation that's going on. And he's basically fallen in love with all of them a little bit.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, let's find... I'm like, yeah, go ahead and try the key so we can find out who's the one who made the original promise and then what's actually going to happen because of that. I'm like, that would be a cool series. And then he comes up with this rule. He's like, oh, but we can't actually put the keys in there. And then I'm like...
Well, then why do you have it in the first place?
Yeah. I'm like... Well, it's not fixed then.
Yeah, so it's like, what are you doing with it? Give it back to the jeweler. He needs it to fix it.
So then I'm like, okay.
What's next? The jeweler dies? Oh, he died. We need to find another jeweler.
And he's like, well, I haven't seen this type of lock in a long time. Let me go ask some people and get some information. Come back in like 8 episodes.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Then 8 episodes later, they come back and go, you know what? The guy that I asked about it, apparently he died. I didn't know about that. Like, really? You asked the guy that we just... Never mind.
So, yeah, I just... And because of what I heard about more keys, more girls, and all that kind of stuff, when I see them, like, deliberately stretch out the story, because I already knew, and I had forgot because I was watching it, I'm like, ooh, yeah, try the key. And he's like, no, stretch the story. I'm like, oh, yeah. I remember.
Oh, yeah, I'm watching anime. That's right. These things happen.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, well. more random situations. Oh, well.
More back to craziness. Woo!
Yeah. So, yeah. So, Nisekoi 2, more of the same. Yeah.
Well, speaking of guy getting into crazy situation with multiple females, my next one, I'm just going to call it Dungeon because I'm not going to say the full name because that's just going to be way too long. So we're just going to say Dungeon. Yeah.
Yes.
It's interesting. It's very interesting.
I love it.
I do like it. I do like it a lot. I think it's very cool what they do. I mean, it's really an awesome show. But I mean, there again, it seems like he's kind of getting the harem situation where he's getting a lot of females
Yeah.
around him. So I'm like, but hey, whatever. I do have to say on was it the second or the third episode where his goddess was getting chased by that creature?
Yeah.
I'm like, the entire time, I literally was yelling at the screen, give him the damn knife!
Yes!
What are you doing? You have a weapon for him! Give it to him!
It's right
It's there! You can't not notice it! Give him the freaking knife!
Like, he has to have noticed it too, because I'm like, she doesn't normally wear something across.
No! What are you doing? And then she's, and he locks her up, and I'm like, throw him the freaking knife! Give him the knife! Give him the knife! Give him the knife! Give him the knife! What are you doing? He's gonna die because you didn't give him the knife.
So, I was doing the exact same thing. After every sentence they spoke, I'm like, give him the freaking knife.
Yeah.
It's right there. It's right there. He's carrying you.
Yeah.
Like, and she's like, oh. I'm like,
you're a goddess, you're adorable, but you pissing me off so much. So much.
But then, after they made some distance between them and whatever was chasing them, she had to, like, I guess, program the knife into him for it to actually work.
Yeah, but he was carrying her. She could have done that while being carried.
Yeah, so at first I was mad, but then I'm like, oh, she has to, like, do all that. So I'm like, I get. They could have, like, she could have been like, oh, let's hurry up. Oh,
she could have at least, she could have at least said something. She didn't even say anything to him.
He didn't ask her anything. I'm like, she saw the knife, like his original sword, like shattering into pieces, and I'm like,
say something.
He's not gonna be able to use that.
No,
you know that, right?
He needs a weapon. Just give him something.
But yeah. Other than me yelling about that, I like this show.
It's very interesting to me. I'm not sure how I feel about. See, there again, names. I'm terrible with names, but the beauty goddess, I can't remember her name. You know who I'm talking about. The one who caused that whole incident in the first place.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes, her. I'm not sure how I feel about her. I'm really not.
Yeah.
I'm thinking they kind of did her a little maybe too much over the top. Just a little. Because it seems like she's being just a little too much, a little too forward, a little too, happy-go-lucky. It's like, no, yeah. If she's going to be doing these things, she needs to be a little more back, a little bit, I don't know. It seems like they kind of did her character wrong. I feel like.
It was too easy for her to cause such an issue.
Yeah. And for no one to not take note of it or at least say something about it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah. I completely forgot, that was her.
See, that's the thing. It's like, I almost feel like if they just took her part out, it would be so much better.
Mm.
I'm like, maybe, cause the havoc, just put her in the shadows and just be like, I mean, we didn't need to know she was the reason behind it. You could have just left that, as a guess what this is happening kind of thing.
Yeah.
Don't just throw out the villain right from the get-go. Don't give us that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like if they hadn't, I think it would have been better because we would have been more focused on where we need to be focusing on, which is the guy and his goddess. I'm liking that. I'm liking that a lot. I'm liking his interactions, the way he is, And there again, just like with you and that one dude you were talking about in that one anime where you're rooting for him. I'm rooting for him too.
Yeah,
I really am. Though I'm getting a little torn here. I'm getting a little torn here about who I'm rooting for him with, because his original assumption of wanting to be with that one female adventurer, I'm like, yeah, dude, do it.
Yeah.
Go for it. But now he's got like the barmaid and now his adventuring
quest giver lady.
His adventuring coach person. I'm like, maybe. Like, she's kind of nice, and she's kind of nice too. I was like, well,
yeah.
It's kind of sad that I've kind of like moved the goddess aside. I really have.
Jump ship.
I'm like, no, just go away. He's busy. He's got other things to do. It's kind of sad because it's like he kind of should go with her, but I'm like, no, I kind of like the other ones better.
Yeah.
I think she kind of annoys me too much. Maybe it was the whole sword not giving thing that annoyed me. I don't know, but something about her annoys me a little too much. I mean, I get her personality is kind of supposed to be that way, but it's like they might have gone a little too far with that just a bit. If they'd have held it back maybe a little bit, I might be like, well, she's kind of good or whatever, but I don't know.
I didn't realize how short she was until one of the later episodes, because she was like standing next to all of the other goddesses.
Oh yeah,
and
she's like tiny in comparison.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the character designs on all of these, even though some characters may be a little voluptuous and some may be a little opposite of that.
I don't mind.
They don't take it the ecchi route. They're just, some characters are like super sexy, and then some are sexy in their different way. Yeah. Like whether there be a strong female character or
like Hephaestus.
Yes, I like her.
Yeah. See, that is I think that is what kind of draws me to this anime, is because I like the use of Greek gods, actual factual Greek gods. Mm-hmm. But I have this feeling that we're going to see like more gods from other like religions and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I'm liking that. That's a cool aspect. Mm-hmm. Because there's a game series, Shin Megami Tensei, that uses gods and like deities and beings from like a whole bunch of religions, and I like the use of that and just kind of the people allowing themselves to kind of play around with the ideas of doing stuff like that. I think that's one of the same reasons why I liked The Problem Children Are Coming from Another Planet, because they did the same thing. They're like, well, we're going to throw in like, Greek gods and other deities and stuff like that. I'm like, that's cool. I like that, because the possibilities of what you can do with that are endless. You could do whatever you want, and it was still believable, because who knows what these things can do, people or whatever. So I'm like, this is cool. So I think that's one of the main reasons why I'm drawn towards this, because I've always enjoyed stuff like that.
Okay. I'm trying to think what else, because I really like this show. I would say, who did this? JC Staff. The action in this is amazing.
Oh yeah. Oh, top notch. Top notch.
Yeah, I was thinking like Bones or something like that, but yeah, JC Staff is doing a great job with this. I don't have like, other than it starting to become, I guess my final, right now, my final thoughts on it are, other than it becoming a harem and the whole knife thing, this Yeah. I guess we don't have any pacing issues.
No.
The bad guy is not really behind the scenes. They're just kind of like over here, and we cut to them every now and then.
Yeah.
But and I don't know about how strong the guy is getting. I don't know if he's getting strong too fast.
No, I can see where that's coming from, and it's to me at least it's believable.
Okay.
I can understand where maybe some people might not see that, but I can see where that's believable because all these other people, they have different powers, different abilities, but that is his ability.
Yeah.
His ability is just to be able to get freaking strong way faster than he really should be able to.
Yeah.
But I get that. That's his personality. That's the way he is. That's what he does. So to me, that's not as bad.
Okay. I probably don't have... I probably say the one thing is I don't have a sense of scale for abilities. I think she said he went from like B to E or something like he went either a couple letters or like from 2 to 6 or something like that as far as agility.
Yeah.
Within a short amount of time. I don't have a sense of scale for that because I'm like it's only been 4 episodes.
Yeah.
So if it's gonna be 13. So I guess that's good as far as the length of the story is gonna be so far.
Yeah. I'm hoping they do more with it. I really am.
Yeah.
I'm hoping this is one of those that ends up getting a second season for or something like that or something that they have planned for. Because, I mean, I can see them doing there again, this is just like the 7 Deadly Sins, where I'm like, you made a great world. This is an awesome world. I hope you as creators of this world have fun playing around with it, doing whatever you want to do, because it seems like you have an awesome world to play around with.
Yeah. And, like, this is one dungeon that he's, like, doing different areas of.
Yeah. So I'm like, possibilities are endless.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm hoping they do more with it afterwards. I mean, I'm even, oddly enough, I'm even liking, because you're current with it, right?
Yeah.
I'm even liking that little girl character with him too. Even though, see, and that's all opening up another.
Oh yeah.
That's opening up another possibility.
Yeah, they keep.
You don't know what's going on with that.
They keep mentioning that group, and they're like, maybe I should warn him
that there's something going on with that family.
Yeah,
and there is something going on with that family.
Yeah,
they want lots of gold for some reason.
Oh God, I'm worried about that girl because if she like everybody's like strapped for gold, or they're just trying to amass as much gold as they can, and then all of a sudden she starts getting like these large amounts of gold.
Her family will try to do something.
Yeah, I feel like this is gonna get a second season.
It really should. It really should.
Yeah,
I mean, it's sad to say. It's sad to say this early on because we're only like a third of the way through the actual thing, but it's like both you and I are already like, yeah, another season, absolutely. Let's go for it. Do it. Pull the trigger on that one.
Yeah.
Because it really needs it. It seems like they're building up a lot of stuff, and I hope they don't try to do one of those wrap everything up at the end kind of deals. That would suck. Because it's like, no, y'all have a good thing going.
I see how they can do it. Like if the reason why that family's struggling so much is because of that lady.
And
then two birds.
That seems a little like, why would she be involved with that? I don't know. Yeah. That seems a little far stretched, but I know it's anime, so who knows?
Yeah.
These things can happen.
I hope that's not the case. Because then I'm like, then they can wrap that up in like 8 more episodes. But
I mean, even with it's so much to like about this anime because it's like even the his interactions with that little fox girl or whatever, I like those. I mean, even when she took off her cloak, her hood, and he was like, "Oh, you have ears. Let me touch those." And all of a sudden she starts making those noises. He's like, "Oh, sorry." My bad. I didn't mean to do that. My bad. And I'm like, oh, that's just too funny. That's awesome. That reminds me of Utawara Mono. Do you ever watch that one?
I don't. I don't know the name.
It's the guy with the mask. With the little horns mask. Anyways, he ends up waking up in a village, and the people they're like half animal, half people. And like the very first episode, he's still in a daze because he lost his memories or whatever, so he doesn't know what's going on. And he sees her tail, and he plays with her tail, and she has kind of that same reaction. And it just made me laugh just thinking about it. I'm like, oh, that's too funny. That's adorable. So, yeah, I'm hoping they do more with it. It's like, don't spoil the potential. Run with it. Do everything you can, because God, it's such an amazing world and characters that you've developed already. So,
okay. I am having high hopes for this. I hope my hopes are not too high.
I agree.
There are a few other shows that I watched. I'm not fully caught up on them, but I do have a few opinions on these. I'd say my first one is Punchline.
Before you go for that, because I kind of know what you're going to say, and I'm going to have a kind of a dissenting opinion on this. To me, Punchline reminds me a lot of like animes like Excel Saga and Furikuri.
Yes, very much Furikuri.
It's just ridiculous.
Yes.
That's all it is. It's utter and complete ridiculousness. So anyone out there who happens to listen to this or whatever, if you are aching for some anime that's like that, because honestly, I can't even think of any anime in recent time frame that has gotten to that level of just utter ridiculousness and randomness as Furikuri or Excel Saga. This is definitely one for you.
I would say that Kill la Kill, even though it didn't get random, it was as ridiculous, super crazy ridiculous.
But I mean, this is definitely one of those that if you're not already in that mindset, you're not going to enjoy.
Yeah.
You're not going to enjoy. So right now, I've watched the first episode, and I started to watch the second episode, but knowing what's going to entail and everything, I'm just not in that mindset right now where I can actually take this. I can be, and I've been known to be in the past, but it's just not right now.
Yeah.
So, here again, they go over the top with the ecchi moments and whatnot. And I know you have dissenting opinions about that for the etchiness and whatnot, but I will say that yes, there are ones that go over the top, and we've discussed this before, but at least this one, even though it does go over the top with the ecchi, does not take itself seriously. So I can get behind it more because it doesn't take itself seriously. So I'm okay with the over topness of that. But if you can't like put that aside, I can see where people are like, yeah, this is just too much for me. I can't deal with it, kind of thing, you know. So
yeah.
Okay, so go ahead. Say what you're gonna say on that, because I know it's coming.
So, I want to correct one thing. I corrected in the last video, but I want to say it. Mappa is a studio that broke off from Madhouse. Even though it has the Gainax style, is not Gainax at all. Another studio that broke off from, Trigger is another studio. I'm pretty sure they are the ones that broke off from Gainax, and they are the ones who did Kill la Kill, which is it's styled like the older Gainax stuff. This show, I saw the trailer, and yes, the beginning of the trailer was kind of basically the whole trailer was random. The only thing that stuck out in my head that I didn't just like consciously ignore was some of the fight scenes that they showed on the bus. That was like this tiny little piece of something that happened outside of where a lot of the stories taking place in the first couple episodes. I was expecting Gurren Lagann, like crazy fights and all that kind of stuff. And instead, I got like a super ecchi show. And I was kind of sad.
It takes you by surprise. It really does. If you're not expecting it, it really like it sideswipes you. It really does.
Yeah, I looked at the trailer. Well, I think I looked at the trailer again, and when I see it for the second time after watching the first episode, then I'm like, yeah, I ignored like a lot of the stuff that was in the trailer. I'm sad because I want to see more of the fight scenes. I'm pretty sure they're gonna have more fight scenes. I just can't get to them. In the second episode, there was this part where they were eating Jello, and of course the Jello shaped like boobs.
Yes.
And I'm like, I can't. I don't want to be the boob hater guy. I don't. But I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. It's like, I don't like this style of ecchi, I guess. So, I was expecting one thing and I got something else. If you're expecting Gurren Lagann, don't. This is not it. But I don't know. I was just let down. I'd say another show that I wanted to mention was Mikagura Gakuen, which takes place in a school, and the other name for it is Mikagura School Suite. This show is another battle show. It's basically a school that is everybody's in a club, and the clubs battle each other.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing.
And it's like super over the top fights and stuff like that.
I haven't actually seen anything of it, but I remember seeing the actual one for this, so I know which one you're talking about.
Okay. I am torn. The opening scene of this show was crazy. Like, hopefully they're not teasing something that happens like way at the end of the series, because the opening scene, somebody's like running through the schools at night, and they're like running up the stairs and like jumping and like avoiding all these like, it's not an explosion, but like there's a certain area, and then all of a sudden it's just like singed, and like there's like ashes and like little burnt flame embers, and it's like something just fried the area really quick, and she's like avoiding all of the different attacks, and so you're like, what's going on? Like, something can breathe fire or something, and she's just like barely evading it, and then she gets up to the one of the higher levels and like jumps off the building, lands on the ground, and you're like, oh my god. And then the person catches up to her, and there's this big explosion, and then it just completely switches to the main girl. And I'm like, oh, this show's gonna be good. Like they got my attention right off the bat. And then there's this like silly girl, and they do like a complete twist, and she's playing like a dating sim, and it goes straight into comedy, and I'm like, okay, that's funny. Okay, this is funny. And then later on, I'm like, okay, this is silly now. And then I'm like, what happened to the fighting? And the first episode ends, I'm like, okay, now I know the location and how things work. Some things were funny. A lot of things starting to be silly. Get into the second episode, and it's still silly. And right at the end of the second episode, they get into another fight, and it's way too short. So I don't know. I'm on the fence with this one. It had a really cool concept. Well, I didn't know. It caught me at the beginning. I thought this was going to be more, there's a bad guy and there's a few of us who are going to fight the bad guy. And that now it's turned into, it's like a battle anime where it's like this group, this club versus this club, and you get to see all the battles, and then there's downtime where they like learn new stuff, and then they come back and fight. So I don't know which one is actually going to end up being, but those two things are so small compared to like the everyday life and the silly comedy that they're trying to do throughout the whole show. Uh-huh. So at the beginning, I'm not. I don't know. I'm on the fence, but I'm gonna keep it up because hopefully they get back to the fighting and they explain what that whole the scene in the beginning was, because it was really, really cool. So, see, another show that I wanted to mention is Denpa Kyoushi. This show,
I think you're watching more shows than I am at this point.
Yeah, okay, yeah, this one. So have you watched Great Teacher Onizuka?
A long time ago. I mean, we're talking, God, that's way longer than I care to remember.
So, I've never actually watched the anime for Great Teacher Onizuka. I watched the live action drama.
Oh God.
So I don't even know like what all happens in the anime, but for this show, Denpa Gakuen is basically GTO, but instead of the teacher being a gangster, he's an otaku. And he kind of helps / beats the students with current technology kind of things. Like if they're bullying somebody, then he's like, I'm gonna expose all your info on the internet, and people will come and like cyberbully you and all that kind of stuff.
God.
So it's a different twist on GTO, but it doesn't get me as much as GTO, or at least the drama did.
Well, yeah, the GTO's definitely, that seems more like an interesting premise, whereas this just seems just ridiculous.
Yeah. So, for anybody who's interested in a different twist on GTO, it's the same formula. I'm pretty sure every episode is going to be some student that needs to be taught a lesson, and then he's going to teach them the lesson, and then the episode's going to be over. I'm giving it one more episode, and if it's formulaic like that, then I'm gonna drop it, because GTO is a way better way to do that. Definitely, in my opinion. But that's it for that one. I have three more. One. One is a show by Rock. This show, I thought was going to be a band anime,
Oh, that one. I
But
remember that one.
no, that was Euphonium. The straight.
Oh, okay.
This one is actually like rock music and all that kind of stuff. Um, let's see. It is, I think, a girl, and she's kind of an outcast, and she's playing this game on her phone, and then all of a sudden she gets sucked into the phone.
Yeah.
And inside the phone, everybody's like some kind of cute human animal crossover.
Yeah.
And everything has to do with music. And like there's this super popular band, boy band with like 3 members, and they're like doing this concert and everything. And everything's like cheapy, super small, big-headed characters, animal, human, CG, like computer, like complete, everything's computer animated. Reason, this is not my type of show.
Hey, mine either. Glad I'm not watching it. Jeez.
But because I do 3D, I want to school for 3D animation, I have to admire, like, the technique on how they did this. Usually, 3D anime, for what I've seen, is basically they take a 3D model and wrap a drawing around it. So it's usually like cell shaded. They have like lines and like you can tell because they're like, hey, da 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 da. And I'm like, they've gotten a lot better recently. And this season, there's like 2 shows that have done it really good. One does it the cell shader way, which is a way that I didn't like before, but they did it really, really, really well. And then there's this show, and I feel like they take kind of like a Pixar approach on it. Basically, there's no drawn lines. Like, if they do the eyebrows and everything, like they model the actual eyebrow, so it's like this thin, rounded piece of like mesh. And whenever they like change their expression and they do that little X thing for their eyes, it'll actually be like a piece of geometry for that, and everything's like rounded and smooth, and quality wise it looks amazing. Until I saw the other show, I would think that this is where 3D anime is going. If everything looked like that, then I would have no problem with 3D anime. It'd be like watching a Pixar movie.
I was about to say, because yeah, I usually don't go for the 3D at all.
Yeah.
It just annoys me too much. The look is just so bad.
Yeah. So, even though this is not my, I don't know. It's not my type of show. I don't know where it's going. I don't know if the whole show is going to take place inside of the phone, or she's going to hop back and forth and do like the daily, like what, Monster of the Week kind of thing, where she's doing one thing and then she gets sucked into a phone because they need her help fighting this other monster. And then that's resolved. Okay, kick her back out of the phone and she does regular life. And then we need your help again. Suck her back into the phone.
So Scooby-Doo mixed with Inuyasha?
Yeah.
Is that what we're going with here?
Basically.
Scooby-Doo mixed with Inuyasha. Awesome. 10 out of 10 right there. 10 out of 10.
So, I just have to mention that one because I was very impressed with the 3D anime. So, yeah, I just have to call that one out. Another show that me and Ray Ray are watching is called KINMOZA, which is short for Kiniro Mosaic. It is like the girliest show on this list. Oh my god. I don't know. I don't know if there's like this little girl inside me that likes these shows or what, But yeah, I'll say right when I first started streaming stuff on Crunchyroll, that was one of the first shows that I watched, and there's something about it. It's funny enough. The characters are interesting enough to where I'm not bored out of my mind. There is a show that came out a couple seasons ago, and it's basically one of those really small schools where there's like one classroom, one teacher, but then students from all different grades, and they kind of go from student to student and teach according to their grade. This show, I could not stand it. It was so boring. And so there's a couple of people that just loved it. And I don't understand. It was boring. It wasn't even like girly interesting or nothing. It was just everyday life. They're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. They're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't care. This one, at least the characters are interesting. I'd say the way it starts out is there's this one girl. She has a pen pal in England, and she goes and stays with them for a while, and then she has this thing about blonde hair. So she just saying like she was saying about blonde. She's like, it goes out to this la 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 face, and then she comes back, and I guess the girl misses hanging out with her, so she decides to become a foreign exchange student and joins in to her school. Then they have their little silly adventures, and she has two other friends, and then all of a sudden another European blonde girl joins the group, and she's like the wild one, so she's like speaking really harsh Japanese, where she's like dance at the end of every sentence. And I don't know, the characters vary, and I just like the way they interact. So even though this is like a super duper girly show, the characters are interesting enough for me that I'm like, you know what, I like it. So I have to mention that one. And then the last small mention that I have is Grisaia. I originally thought that Grisaia no Rakuen would start this season, and then Grisaia Mekyu would come out a couple seasons from now. But apparently that's not the way it goes.
Nope.
So we figured out that Mekyu is not actually a season. It is a special. A 45-minute long special. And it is a prequel to Rakuen. So I've seen the first episode of Rakuen, and Shade here has seen Mekyu. So
not even the whole thing either.
Yeah.
Because the Mekyon is like 47 minutes long, so it's technically like a little mini movie almost.
Yeah, it's like one of them hourly special kind of things.
Yeah.
So, I am confused.
I'm not.
Let's see. Rakuen starts out with the main guy's boss finding him.
JB.
And JB finding him and putting him with the lady who's going to train him to be what he is in the original show.
Mm.
And apparently Mekyu is a prequel to all of that. So in Rakuen, you find him and he's like disheveled and like just, he doesn't talk or anything.
For good reason. Jesus. Because
Yeah.
in Mekyu, Jesus, he had a very, very rough childhood. I mean, hugely rough. I wouldn't even say it was remotely fair in any sort of way. I mean, at least it's hard to explain. I mean, on the one hand, at least he had his sister who was there with him, who helped him out. But on the other hand, his sister was a little bit weird, I guess. I mean, if anyone who's seen the original series, she was rather brilliant and her ways of doing things, but let's just say she loved her brother perhaps a little too much. Just a little. Just a little. There was a couple scenes where I was like, "Oh, okay. We're going in that direction then, are we? Okay. Gotcha. So, fair warning. I didn't have any. It just happened. I had to deal with it. At least you have some fair warning to look forward to that. Because, wow.
So, I'd say by next month, I should have everything figured out, and I will have watched the prequel and then caught up on the show. And hopefully I'm not too traumatized from what I hear the prequel is.
Just a little. Because, oh my God.
But, yeah, so those were all of my small little mentions after the main show that I've been completely caught up with. Did you have any more small mentions?
No, the two that I had, we pretty much covered, so.
Okay. All right, well, this has been our monthly catch-up for May of 2015. And you can contact us on YouTube. This is TacoYaki Anime Channel. We also have a Facebook and a Twitter. They are both at, they're Facebook.com/TacoYaki Anime and Twitter.com/TacoYaki Anime. We both have a My Anime list. Mine is My Anime list, and it's at Big D TacoYaki, and Shades is at sh_D6. I'll have a link to all of this in the description below. And we will be back next month to update you on what we've been watching. So, see ya.
Bye.